Seeing the only wise and merciful God of late and in these latter days hath poured out so abundantly his mercy and goodness to mankind, whereby we do attain more and more to the perfect knowledge of his Son Jesus Christ and nature, that justly we may boast of the forthcoming happy time, wherein there is not only discovered unto us the half part of the world, which was heretofore unknown and hidden, but he hath also made manifest unto us many wonderful and ne'er-to-fore seen works, creations of nature, and moreover hath raised men endued with great wisdom, which might partly renew and reduce all arts, in this our age spotted and imperfect, to perfection, so that finally man might thereby understand his own nobility, splendor, and worth, and why he is called microcosmos, and how far his knowledge extendeth in nature. Although the rude world will herewith be but little pleased, but rather smile and scoff thereat, also the pride and covetousness of the learned is so great, it will not suffer them to come together in agreement, but were they united, they might out of all those things, which in this our age God doth so richly bestow upon us, collect a librum naturae, or a perfect method of all arts. But such is their opposition that they still keep, and are loath to leave the old course, esteeming the Pope, Aristotle, and Galen, yea, and that which hath but a mere show of learning, more than the clear and manifested light and truth. If men such as Aristotle and Galen were now living, would happily revise their erroneous doctrines. But here is too great a weakness for such a great work, and although in theology, physics, and mathematics the truth stands in opposition, nevertheless the old enemy, by his great cunning and malevolence, doth show himself in hindering that and every good purpose, by his vile instruments and contentious wayward people. To such an intent of general reformation, the most godly and highly illumined Father, our brother C.R., a German, the chief and original of our fraternity, hath much and long time labored, who by reason of his poverty, although descended of noble parents, in the 5th year of his age was placed in a cloister, where he had learned indifferently the Greek and Latin tongues, who upon his fervent request, being yet in the bloom of youth, was assigned to a brother P.A.L., who was set to go on pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Although this brother died in Cyprus, and so never came to Jerusalem, yet our brother C.R. did not return, but shipped himself over and went to Damascus, minding from thence to go to Jerusalem. He remained still there for some time to rest up from his travels, and by his skill in medicine he obtained much favor with the Turks. During his sojourn there, he chanced upon word of the wise men of Damcar in Arabia, of what great wonders they wrought, and how nature lay bare to them. Hereby was that high and noble spirit of brother C.R. so stirred up, that Jerusalem was not so much in his mind as Damcar. As he could bridle his desire no longer, he did make bargain with the Arabians there, that for an agreed upon fare they convey him to Damcar, and so they did. He was but 16 years of age upon his arrival there, but of a strong Dutch constitution. There the wise received him as he would come to find, not as a stranger, but as one whom they had long expected. Never having met, they yet greeted him by name, and amazed him, revealing what else they knew of him, giving detail of his life in the cloister, as if they had known him there. By all this he was astonished. He set out and learned there better the Arabian tongue, so that the following year he translated the Book M into good Latin, which he would later bring back with him. There also he did learn his physics and mathematics, whereof the world hath just cause to rejoice, if only there were more love and less envy. After 3 years he went on his way yet again, well enlightened. By ship he did travel from the Arabian Peninsula to Egypt, remaining there not long. He spent some time there studying, coming to better know its flora and fauna. From there he would sail the breadth of the Mediterranean Sea to Fez, as he had been directed by those wise men of Damcar. And it is a great shame unto us that wise men so far remote the one from the other should not only be of one mind, rejecting all contentious writings, but also be so willing and ready to entrust others, and impart what secrets they hath uncovered. Every year the Arabians and Africans do send consulates, one to the other, to confer, each inquiring as to their arts, if there had been made any advancements, or if experience had weakened their reasons. In this way new discoveries would yearly be catalogued, standards of mathematics, physics, and magic systematically amended. Of these arts those in Fez are most skilful, as there is nowadays in Germany no lack of scholars, magi, Kabbalists, physicians, and philosophers, or want of learned men, were there but more love and kindness among them, or that the most part of them would not keep their secrets close only to themselves. At Fez he made acquaintance with those he would commonly call the elementary inhabitants, who revealed unto him many of their secrets, as we Germans likewise could do, if there were but like unity and a passionate and earnest desire for searching out those secrets amongst us. Of these at Fez he did often confess that their magia was not altogether pure, and also that their Kabbalah was defiled with their religion, but notwithstanding he knew how to make good use of the same, and found still more better grounds of his faith, altogether agreeable with the harmony of the whole world, and wonderfully impressed in all periods of time. And thence proceedeth that fair concord, that as in every seed is contained a whole tree, and its fruit, so then likewise is included in the little body of man the whole great world, his religion, politics, health, body parts, nature, language, words, and works, all in agreement, sympathizing and in tune and in melody with God, heaven and earth, and everything to the contrary is error, falsehood, and of the devil, who alone is the first, middle, and last cause of strife, blindness, and darkness in the world. Also, might one examine every person upon the face of the earth, he should find that which is good and right is always in agreement with itself. All the rest is spotted with 1,000 erroneous conceits. After 2 years, Brother R.C. departed the city of Fez and sailed with many precious things to Spain, hoping, as he himself had so profited from his journey, that the learned of Europe might greatly rejoice with him, their studies henceforth re-established on those sound and sure foundations. He therefore discoursed with the learned of Spain, showing unto them the errors of our arts, and how they might be corrected, and from whence they should rightly discover the true indicia of portents of times to come, and wherein they ought to agree with those things that have passed, and the faultiness of the Church, how it and the whole of our moral philosophy was to be amended. He showed them new plants, fruits, and beasts that did not concord with the philosophy of old, and prescribed them new axiomata, whereby all things might be fully restored. At this they did but scoff. Being a new thing unto them, they feared the repute of their names be lessened, were they to now again begin to learn afresh, and acknowledge their many years' errors, to which they were accustomed, and wherewith had served them so well until now. Let another so possessed of disquietude reform, they'd say. Whoso loveth unquietness, let him be reformed. The same song was sang to him by other nations, the which moved him all the more, because it happened to him contrary to his expectation, being then so ready to share his bounty, to impart all his knowledge and skills to the learned. If only they were to probe the faculties of their science and arts, and indeed all of nature, to hold them up to the true and infallible axiomata, directing them as he knew it would, as a globe to its true centermost point, and, as is the custom of the Arabians, its guidance reserved for only the wise and learned for a rule, that in such a fashion might a society be formed in Europe, a store of gold, silver, and precious stones, sufficient to be bestowed upon kings, along with it instructions for their optimal appropriate use, to educate those who would rule, granting them all the knowledge which God hath imparted to mankind. They are available perpetually for counsel, as needed, as were the heathen oracles of old. Verily, we must confess that the world in those days was already pregnant with great commotions, laboring to be delivered of them, and did bring forth tireless, worthy men, who with all force broke through the darkness and barbarism, having left us weaker ones to press on after them. Assuredly they were the utmost pinnacle of the fiery triangle, whose flames now show brighter and brighter, giving the world its last light. Such a one in vocation and callings had Theophrastus been. Though not of our fraternity, he nevertheless was a diligent student of the book M, whereby his sharp mind was ignited. Yet even this man was so hindered in the course of his work by the pedants and sophists, that he was never able to show his true genius, or duly confer the depth of his understanding of nature. Hence his writings were occupied mostly mocking these busybodies, rather than allowing him to reveal what he'd otherwise have been able to. Yet, nevertheless, there is found in him a profound harmony of thought, which doubtless he would have imparted to the learned, had they been worthy. Yet in place of such hallowed knowledge of the higher arts, didst they receive, nay, so subtle ridicule. Thus he lived out a careless and wanton life, a sadly missed opportunity, and left the world to pursue its foolish pleasures. But that we do not forget our loving father, Brother C.R. He, after many painful travels, and his ill-fated attempts of reform, returned again to his beloved homeland of Germany, to bolster and continue his aims for change, and with it struggle was sure to come. Most possessed of such skills as the transmutation of metals, would be prone to boast, yet he did esteem more heaven, and the resident souls of man therein, than all vainglory and pomp. He built him there a fitting and neat habitation, in which he ruminated on his travels, given to philosophic musings and the writings of a memoir. In this house he spent a great time on the mathematics, and the construction of many fine instruments of various use across the arts. Of these only a scant and precious few remain among us, as you shall soon hear more on. 5 years hence, his mind once more stirred with zealous aspiration for joyous reform. Though fit to carry on in solitude and doubtful of the need for assistance, he decided to enlist a small retinue to aid him in his efforts. So did he gather 3 brethren from out of his former cloister that he held dear, Brother G.V., Brother I.A., and Brother I.O., each better versed in the arts than many of their time. There were those 3 bound by solemn oath to be faithful, industrious, and secretive, and to commit to writing with utmost diligence all that which he should direct and instruct them in, to the end that there would be allowed no error in anything especially revealed to the fraternity, down to the last syllable and letter. Thus began the Brotherhood of the R.C., first by 4 persons only, and by them was made the magical language in writing, with an extensive vocabulary, which we yet daily use to God's praise and glory, and do find great wisdom therein. They made also the first part of the book M, but the task was indeed no small undertaking, and also there arrived a multitude of sick in need of tending. They were so hindered in its completion. As his new building, called Sancti Spiritus, was now finished, they concluded to draw and receive yet others more into the fraternity. To this end were chosen Frater R.C., his deceased father's brother's son, Frater B., a skilful painter, G.C., and P.D., their scribes, all Germans except I.A. So in all there were 8 in number, untethered by marriage and avowed virginity. These commenced to collect an abundance of all which man can desire, wish, or hope for. Though we do freely confess that the world has changed much for the better in this last century, we are assured that our axiomata shall inviolably remain unto the great day of judgment, and that the world at its ultimate peak of advancement would discover not anything greater or more true, for our Rhoda was perfect at inception, from the moment the world was spoken into existence, and will remain so until God decrees its end, his time being superior to man's. We also steadfastly believe that if our fathers and brethren had lived in this our present and clear light, they would more roughly have handled the Pope, Mohammed, the pedantic scribes, artists, and sophisters, and had showed themselves more helpful, not simply with sighs, wishing of their end and consummation. Now these 8 brethren had honed their processes to a point of optimal ease. They had come to a complete grasp of both revealed philosophy and those things secret. So as had been the plan from the beginning, they parted company, traveling to diverse countries, to then share in secret their glorious axiomata with the deserving learned, and to observe and report on advances and errors found, like the Arabs and Africans. Their agreement was this: first, that none of them should profess any other thing than to cure the sick, and that at no cost. 2, that the brotherhood would require no common habit, that they should clothe themselves in that which is customary of the country they dwelled. 3, that yearly upon the day C, they should meet together in the house Sancti Spiritus, or to otherwise right the cause of their absence. 4, every brother should look out for a worthy person, who after his decease might succeed him. 5, the word CR should be their seal, password, and sign. 6, the fraternity should remain secret for 100 years. These 6 articles they vowed to one another to keep, and 5 the brethren departed. Only brethren B and D remained with Father C for a whole year, when these likewise departed. Then remained by him his cousin and brother I.O., so that he hath all the days of his life with him 2 of his brethren. And although the church was not yet cleansed, nevertheless we know that they did think of her, and with what longing desire they looked for. Every year they assembled together amiably, and gave full account of that which they had done. Oh, what a joy to hear truly and without invention the wonders which God hath poured out here and there throughout the world. Every one may hold out for certain that such persons as were sent and joined together by God in the heavens, selected by one of the wisest men to have lived in many ages, lived together in utmost unity, sincere loyalty, and sharing in the greatest loving kindness among themselves and others. After such a laudable manner did they spend their lives, though their bodies were free of ailment, yet notwithstanding they could not live past the time God had allotted them. The first of the fraternity to pass had been I.O. in England, as Frater C. had long since foretold him. He was very skilled and learned in Kabbalah, as his book H witnesseth. In England he is much spoken of for having cured a young Earl of Norfolk of leprosy. Together they decided that as much as could be helped, that their burial places should be kept secret, so that to this day we do not know the resting place of many of our brothers. Yet did each one find and assign a fit successor. This we will confess publicly to the honor of God, that whatsoever secrets we have learned out of the book M, how we can have before our eyes the image and counter-image of the whole world, yet are there not shown unto us our misfortunes, nor the day or hour of our death, the which is known only by God himself, who thereby would have us remain in perpetual readiness. Of this you will hear more in our Confessio, wherein are provided 37 reasons we now make known our fraternity, and offer such high mysteries freely and without recompense. Also we do promise more gold than both the Indies can bring the King of Spain, for Europe is with child, and will bring forth a strong child, who will stand in need of a great Godfather's gift. After the death of I.O., Brother R.C. rested not, but as soon as he could, called the rest together. It seemed that only then did they prepare a grave, although hitherto we of most recent recruitment did not know when our loving Father R.C. had died, and had no more than the mere names of the founders and their successors unto us. Yet out of the recesses of memory surfaced a secret bestowed us by A., the successor of D., a cryptic message concerning a 100-year period. Brother A. had been the last of the second row of succession, had lived amongst many of, and did impart unto us of the third row in succession, upon whose passing we remaining brethren knew next to nothing of R.C. and the initial brethren, aside from their contributions to our philosophical library, amongst which our axiomata was held for the chiefest. Rhodamundi the most well-crafted, and Proteus the most useful. Therefore we cannot testify to know whether we, or even those of the second row before us, had been admitted to the full knowledge of the order. So then, gentle reader, shall we announce now not only our knowledge of the burial of our beloved Father C, but our God-foretold ordained command, which we so faithfully and joyously oblige, that were we to receive an earnest Christian reply, we shall set before public eye, even in print, our names in full, detail of our meetings, or anything else so requested. Now the true and unadulterated account of the discovery of the highly illuminated man of God, Father C.R.C. After the peaceful passing of A in Gallia Narbonensis, did we receive our beloved brother N.N. Upon making his solemn oath of fidelity and secrecy, did he confide to us that A had comforted him, telling him that this fraternity should nay long remain so hidden, but should be for the whole German nation helpful, quite needed and renowned, of the which he was free of the contempt of his brothers. The following year, having completed his requisite learning, took some time to travel, funded by Fortunatus's purse, during which it occurred to him, he being a master builder, to set about making alterations to this building, to make it more suitable in accommodation. In so doing, he came upon a memorial plaque cast in brass. Upon it were the names of the first brethren, and other various emblemata. This he planned to transfer to another more fitting vault, knowing not that it marked the crypt of Father C.R.C., as we were yet ignorant of where he had died or was buried, this having been concealed by our predecessors. The plaque had been held in place by a nail so firmly embedded that it took much force to be removed, upon which it brought down a portion of the supporting wall. Behind that was found an unknown and hidden door. We then, with joy and longing, tore down the rest of the wall, exposing fully the door. On it, in capital letters, was written in Latin, "After 120 years, I shall open." Underneath was the year of the Lord. Thereupon we gave thanks to God, preferring to first consult our Rhoda. Nothing further was done that evening. Here again we refer to our Confessio, for what we here publish is done for the help of those that are worthy, but to the unworthy, God willing, it will be of little use. For like as our door was after so many years wonderfully discovered, also there shall be opened a door to Europe, when the wall is removed, which already doth begin to appear, and with great desire is expected of many. The following morning we opened the door, and there appeared to our sight a vault of 7 sides and corners, every side 5 foot abroad and 8 foot tall. Although the sun never shined in this vault, nevertheless it was enlightened with another sun, having learned from the sun, situated in the center of the ceiling, beneath which, instead of a tombstone, was a round altar covered by a plate of brass. Thereon was an engraving in Latin, ACRC. This compendium of the universe I made during my lifetime as a tomb for myself. Round about the outmost rim of the altar stood Jesus, my all. At its center 4 figures enclosed in circles, whose circumscription was, "A void exists nowhere," "The yoke of the law," "The liberty of the gospel," "God's glory is inviolable." The clear wonder of it, the 7 sides, the 2 heptagoni mirrored as it were above and below. So we kneeled down together and gave thanks to the sole wise, sole mighty, and sole eternal God, who hath taught us more than all human reason could ever possibly bear out. Praised be his holy name. This vault we determined to be of 3 parts, the ceiling, or heavens, the walls, or sides, and the ground, or floor. We shan't at this moment describe further the ceiling of the vault, save to confirm that a series of triangles issue out from its bright center to the outer walls. But of the contents therein, you, God's own, desiring to seek us out, would be better suited to see for yourself than rely on any feeble description. But every side or wall is comprised of 10 squares, bearing various emphatic emblems, worthy of further pondering. The bottom is again likewise parted into triangles, but because therein is portrayed the power and rule of the inferior governors, we will stave all further description, for fear that it may fall subject to misuse by an evil and ungodly world. But those who possess the heavenly antidote, they do without fear or danger tread on and bruise the head of the old and evil serpent, which this our age is well fitted for. Each wall had a door with a chest, wherein were stored many things, especially all our books, copies of which already we had, which we have continued to daily use, also the vocabulary of Paracelsus, and the itinerary and vita of our founder, from whence this relation is for the most part taken. In another chest were looking-glasses of diverse virtues, as also in other places were little bells, burning lamps, and fantastical artificial songs. All this to the end that, if it should happen after many 100 years that the order of fraternity should come to nothing, that it might by the contents of this onely vault be restored again. Now as yet we had not seen the body of our careful and wise father. We therefore removed the altar and set it aside. Then we lifted up the heavy plate of brass, and found his fair and worthy body, whole and undecayed, with a near lively countenance, adorned in ornament and vestment, in his hand a parchment of gold writ, the book T, the which next to the Bible is our greatest treasure, which had been rightly here secured, safe from the censure of the world. At the end of this book is found the following eulogium. A grain buried in the heart of Jesus. Christian Rosicrucian of such noble and fair lineage did come, a paragon of his age and those to come. Fervently, tirelessly, he sought out the intimate secrets and mysteries, celestial and mundane, and was revealed them by God. From his travels in far-away Arabia and Africa did he receive and bring home a treasure grander than those possessed by any royal or even the greatest of empires. Alas, the time was not right for such wisdom. He set about to formalize and perfect these arts, preserving them until such time that they would be properly and welcomely received. To that aim, those who carry his name must be faithful. Regard ye also that he created a precise model of the cosmos in miniature, whose motions meticulously mirrored those of the greater one, and once he'd composed his compendium of things past, present, and future, having seen with his own eyes the passing of more than a century, so too he passed from this earth, free of disease or infirmity, for never had he been sick his whole life, nor allowed those around him to suffer so. But the gentle call of the Lord his enlightened soul did answer, amid the final kisses of his faithful brethren, into the presence of the Creator. Our so richly cherished Father, sweet Master, loyal teacher, friend and brother, was hidden away, here, by his own, for 120 years. Underneath they had signed themselves, Brother I.A., chosen of Brother C. as head of the fraternity, Brother S.G.V. M.P.S., Brother R.C., Jr., inheritor of the House of the Holy Spirit, Brother B.M.P.A., painter and master builder, Brother G.G., M.P.I., Kabbalist. In the second circle, Brother P.A., successor to Brother I.O., mathematician, Brother A., successor to P.D., Brother R., successor to Father C.R.C., who is rejoicing with Christ. And at the end was written, We are born in God, we die in Jesus, we live again in the Spirit. By this time, brothers I.O. and D. were deceased, but their burial place, where is it to be found? We doubt not that, as with our senior brother, some especial things had been laid rest with them, in like manner concealed. We also hope that this our example will stir up others more diligently to inquire after their names, whom we have therefore published, and to search for the place of their burial, for the most part of them, by reason of their magnificent healing art, are yet known and praised among very old folks. So might perhaps our Gaza be enlarged, or at least be made more clear. Concerning the Minutus Mundus, we found it kept in another little altar, truly finer than can scarce be fathomed by even the most enlightened, but we shall leave it undescribed until such time as we receive sincere reply to this, our true-hearted Fama. So then we replaced the plate atop the altar, shut the door, placing our seal upon it collectively, and by command of our Rhoda, commenced to produce publications, one of which being the book M. Hawk, by our greatly loved M.P., completing it at neglect of all domestic concerns. Finally, we departed the one from the other, leaving our treasures to their rightful custodians. Here then are we, awaiting the answer and judgment of the learned or unlearned. As we know and regret, the so longed-for general reformation of things both divine and humane is still a ways off. Just as the sun before its rising doth flicker forth its first light nigh unseen, so in the meantime as some few shall come forth, joining together to bolster our brotherhood in number and repute, making a happy beginning for those who take joy in our philosophical canons, prescribed to us by our brother R.C., and be partakers with us of our infallible and inexhaustible treasures in all humility and love, sweetening the arduous nature of this world, and not wander oblivious to the wonderful works of God. But that also every Christian may know of what religion and belief we are, we confess to the recognition of Jesus Christ, as the same now in recent times, especially in Germany, professed clearly and purely, preserved, defended, and propagated in certain and noted countries, and void of all zealots, heretics, and false prophets. Also we use 2 sacraments, as they are instituted with all forms and ceremonies of the first renewed church. In politics, we acknowledge the Roman Empire as the 4th monarchy for our Christian head, but understand what revisions are necessary and to come, and would fain impart the same with all our hearts to the learned. Hence hold you this very text by our hand, lest it be by God's decree no man shall render us outlawed, bereft, or subject to the unworthy, but we shall help with secret aid to the good cause, as God shall permit or hinder us, for our gold is not blind as the heathen's fortuna, but serves to bring ornament to the church, and honor to the temple. Our philosophy also is nothing new, but as Adam after his fall hath received it, and as Moses and Solomon had applied. Also she ought not be doubted or contradicted by conflated opinions or meanings, but as truth is singular, brief, and consistent with itself, and above all, fully in accord with Jesus in all its parts and members. And as he is the true image of the Father, so is she his image. It shall not be said, this is true according to philosophy, but false according to theology. And wherein Plato, Aristotle, Pythagoras, and others found truth, as it had also revealed itself to Enoch, Abraham, and Moses, and Solomon, but especially consistent with that wonderful book, the Bible, thus all coming together as it were a sphere, perfect in equidistant form from its center. This we shall elaborate further and more plainly in Christian context. Concerning the godless and accursed gold-making so rife in our age, it has truly gotten out of hand, under banner of which flourish the fugitive and rogue, employing great villainies, destroying the credulity of the higher practice in the eyes of men, many of which the fool for believing the transmutation of metals the apex of philosophy, as if it were that God were more pleased by he whom was able to produce the most gold. With such hollow prayer and selfish aim, they hope to attain of the all-knowing God, and searcher of all hearts, as if he were ought to be steered and directed at their whim. We therefore declare before all to stand staunchly against this grievous deceit, but the true philosopher, to him gold-making is an insignificant byproduct, his mind occupied by 1,000 better things. And so we chide along with our loving Father C.R.C. Phooey, those so proud of their little lump of gold, for to whom the whole of nature is revealed, he doth not rejoice over gold-making, nor even for having Christ given authority over demons. To him heaven itself be revealed, seeing the angels of God ascending and descending, and his name is written in the book of life. Also, we do testify that under the name of alchemy many books and pictures are set forth that give offense to the glory of God. In due time these shall be documented in a catalogue, and provided to you pure of heart. We pray ye learned men to beware of these kinds of books, for the enemy never resteth, but soweth his seeds till a stronger one doth root it out. So follow we, brethren, the intent of Father C.R.C., and here again request of the learned of Europe, that ye should read this, our Fama, sent forth in 5 languages, and our Confessio, that ye consider with all your faculties, and your highest understanding, that you ponder this our offer, that upon such careful deliberation you feel moved to reach out, by hand or in print, individually or collectively. Yea, though we have not yet tofore divulged our true name from the whole to the one, each opinion, despite whate'er language it be writ, shall assuredly reach us all the same. Any one who so replies, providing their name, shall indeed hear from us, in person or if preferred by communique. Truly we say, to those who approach us of honest motive, of genuine heartfelt desire, to them shall befall what is beneficial to him in goods, body and soul, but he of impure heart, lusting only after riches, not only shall he be unable to in any way cause us harm, but by his action shall bring about utter ruin and destruction upon his own head. And of our building, though it may have been seen by 100,000 people, it remains out of reach forever, untouched, undestroyed, and hidden to the wicked godless world. Under the shadow of thy wings, Jehovah, the brethren of the Fraternity of the R.C.